I'm excited to talk with you today about Adidas and what digital means for us, and how we find and connect with the consumer in the digital age, and what do we see that consumer as and what their needs are. But then to transform that into experiences we create, but then also talk about what are the key enablers to be able to enable those powerful experiences. To start talking about digital, I have to start of why do we come to work every day? What's our purpose? We believe that sport is central to every culture and society and is core to an individual's health and happiness. We believe that through sport, we have the power to change lives. Every day we come to work to inspire and enable individuals to harness the power of sport in their lives. Everything we do is rooted in sport. But if you take that deeper and say digital is important, it's one of our core priorities, as with many of you, but what is the purpose of digital in terms of enabling that core belief? We believe that to actually change lives, we have to create direct relationships with the consumer. And the best way to create those direct relationships is through digital. It's not just digital what we do on a consumer-facing basis, but how digital can revolutionize the way we run our business. From digital creation, through to supply chain, and through to those consumer-facing experiences we talk about today. So if I take that a level deeper, and I talk about what we call digital brand commerce, it's a unification of everything consumer-facing in the digital world, combined with e-commerce. And so what's the purpose that we're trying to live within that digital frame? We said for us to be successful, we have to create a consumer experience that's premium, connected, and personalized. Now what does that mean? Premium is about inspiring love for the brand and desire for our products. Creating that excitement about sport that keeps people excited to get out of bed in the morning on that workout that they just can't do. Connected, that we take all the touch points that a consumer can interact with us, and that we're consistent, that we create that meaning. And it doesn't matter where they start or where they finish, but they have a seamless experience with us. And personalized. In our world, we have consumers who are insanely passionate about football, basketball, or running. They like specific sports stars to hear their stories. How do we connect that consumer to that world of sports or athletes that they want to hear about? Now the key to doing it, first we believe, is putting the consumer at the center and understanding all of the touch points that we're trying to connect them to, online or offline. But then we have to understand the platforms that sit behind those touch points that enable those experiences. But the platforms are just the starting point. The data that sits behind those platforms is what ultimately enabling us to create those experiences. So for us to create a powerful, connected experience, we have to create consistency from the touch points through to the platforms to the data that sits beneath it. Now let's talk about consumers. We've made a very clear statement that consumers are the starting point. They're at the center of everything that we create. What I mean by that is when we create new experiences, when we build things, we don't talk about, oh yes, and I know the consumer. Remember the consumer over there in the other room, that's what they want. No, we actually have the consumer at the center of the conversation. That we're informing what we create based on feedback that we're hearing from consumers. Through UX walkthroughs, through focus groups, whatever that input point is, that the consumer is the reason why we create things. So with that, I'd like to share with you a short clip that gives you an insight to what we see as the creator-consumer that we're creating those experiences for.
We are the creators. We are part of a generation some call Generation Z, digital natives, or the final generation. Whatever you call us, we are in our early 20s or younger and are spread across the entire globe. By 2020, we will make up roughly 40% of the world population with a combined buying power of $2 trillion. In other words, the future can be shaped with us or by us alone. You decide. We grew up in a world of constant change and uncertainty, and urban life, with health and environmental challenges, with constant economic and social unrest. A world with 24/7 access to information, always on, with a continuous convergence of the physical and digital world. We are realists. We know it will not be handed to us, and we are ready to build our own future to make a difference in the world. Our lives are always a work in progress, aspiring to explore, learn, grow, and to ultimately improve ourselves and the world around us. We are inspired by real people doing real things. We are willing to fail fast and often, always taking risks. We are hyper-focused, dedicated to go where we want. We know what it takes and we are willing to commit ourselves to it. But what about sport? Sport used to be something you do. For us, it's something we are. It's a part of our life, a mindset for the way we choose to live. For us, sport is the new culture. It's about doing sports together, belonging to something, expressing a shared passion. Fashion meets sports, music meets sports, health meets sports, art meets sports, technology meets sports. We blend them all together and find unique experiences. We don't like traditional structures or systems. We build our own, tear them down, just to rebuild them again in our way. We don't accept boundaries, unless we set them ourselves. What we want from you? Show us how we can be better through sports, and weave it into the fabric of our lives. Connect us to others who share the same passion. Let us be part of something bigger, something with greater meaning, and provide us with a platform to express our own stories. Show us the real side of you, the raw side of you, and be where we are so we can create together. Do not expect us to connect to you. Connect to us, and give us a seat at the table to fix some of your challenges. Enable us to co-create with you. Don't talk to us from above. We want an eye-to-eye partnership where you collaborate with us. Don't just give us products and advertisement. Rather enable us and give us tools. Empower us to be the creators.
Every time I watch that video, I get goosebumps. Because I see on the first part an obligation to meet and connect with that next generation of consumers. But I also see an incredible opportunity of driving change, creating meaning. Creators are one segment of consumers that we talk about when we talk about creating digital experiences. We also talk about what we call the amplifiers and value receivers. And what we try to understand and map are, what are those needs that the consumers have when they're interacting, that we can create those powerful and meaningful experiences. But what we also have to understand is how the consumers connect with us across the journey. We used to talk about journeys that were linear. They were step A, B, C, D. Very simple. What we realize is that there are no true one-fits-all journey. But it's a combination of experiences that connect in ways that you couldn't have even imagined. And we have to make sure when we build experiences that they can connect in a non-linear way. That no matter where the entry point and where the exit point is, that it's still seamless and has that power. But also, as we create those experiences, we have to understand on the first part, something about that consumer. Not just their basic profile, but their attitudes and their behaviors. We have to understand the context of which they're interacting, where they are, and what their needs are. And then particularly, what is their mode, their intention when they're in that moment? Are they interested to browse? Do they just want excitement? Do they want to share things with friends? Or hopefully they also want to purchase. But how do we understand the intent in that moment? And we combine those things together to create the powerful experience that has that purpose and the meaning for the consumer at that time. One way we do that is with what we call consumer engagement. It's a collection of CRM, loyalty, and personalization. And we try to create meaningful journeys and interactions with consumers, to talk with them, to try to create that one-to-one communication. No matter what stage they are in the journey or in the funnel, that we can talk and interact with them across any channel. And even sometimes triggering communications that happen with consumer service agents or store staff, creating those, again, meaningful connections. But also through those interactions that we're building the profile and what we know of the consumer. When they start with us, we see them in a very basic way. They're anonymous. We know very little. But through the experiences and interactions, we can really build knowledge about who they are and talk with them about the things that are meaningful for them. And in some cases, we actually create journeys specifically to enhance our understanding. Going into experiences, one great example is what we've encountered in the last year, where our business model has changed to a degree. Like many of you, Black Friday and Cyber Monday were big days of the year. We spent months preparing for them, making sure that we were really ready to maximize that moment. But our world shifted to where actually throughout the year we have regular peaks that are equivalent to those big days. In fact, 2 weeks ago, on any normal Sunday, we had our peak selling day that exceeded the previous Cyber Monday or Black Friday. And how do we take something like that, on the surface is pretty scary, but turn it into an opportunity? How do you create that excitement and engagement that the consumer has, being interested and passionate about new products and things that we're offering, and transform an experience? In this specific case, we built an app, we call it Confirmed, which allowed on the first part a consumer to interact with us in a retail environment. Instead of queuing up in a big line outside the store, that they were able to actually reserve the product, those exciting new products that were coming out, without having to stand in the line. But then how do you evolve that experience so it becomes an entry point for consumers to know about those next products coming out, that you can talk with and interact, get their feedback on them, and actually create an experience that bridges online and offline together. Another example on a completely different dimension is an app and experience we call Glitch. Actually, Glitch by itself is a product. It's a football boot that has an outer and an inner shoe that you can change out. In fact, you can have multiple versions of the outer depending on your mood or the game that you're playing that you can wear. But it's the first product that we've actually built completely as a digital business model. This shoe you can only purchase through the mobile app experience. We actually launched it in London. And in this experience, it's not just about purchasing and transacting through a mobile device, but it's about the experience that we can create on the other side. That we enable the consumer to have a one-on-one dialogue with other consumers who know about the boot, who've experienced it. That they can chat with people, a consumer service representative, to ask questions that they have about the product. And that the experience that they get on the other side is premium. So when they decide that they want to buy a boot, they can have a customized fitting session. Or when they order it, it's shipped to their house within 2 hours within London. And to flip on another example, it's something you might have heard of before, we call My Adidas, where we allow customers to customize the product, to basically express themselves, their needs and their interests through our top-selling product. So we take for the side for a second the design that we think is the best shoe, and we allow them to express themselves through our products. Or even go a step further, we find key influencers in cities where we allow them to tell their story, to express the things that are interesting about them that bring that to life. And even create variants of it that allow the consumer to do that within our retail environment. For example, we even launched a specific shoe in New York City and allowed the customers to customize it in our store. So that's a few samples of experiences. I'd like to close with a couple of enablers. As we all know, building powerful digital experiences isn't easy. And we've had our own journey in that process. We took a step back about a year and a half ago and realized that actually the experience we were creating for our consumers was reflective of the way we were organized. We had individual organizations and departments. It made sense from an internal perspective. From a consumer perspective, it created a fragmented experience. So we took a step back and said, how do we actually design our organization around the consumer? So again, that we're building experiences and enabling things in their eyes. So we rebuilt our organization. We also took a step back and said, if we're going to be able to create the speed and quality of interaction that we want, to enable those broader experiences, we can't continue to work in conventional ways. And we talked about how do we enable our teams to act with autonomy and empowerment to really drive that transformation. So we started looking at things like Agile and Scrum as methodologies to completely transform the way we run our business and we build our experiences. And last, data. In this room combined, we have more data than we can imagine, that we could ever use. But the problem is not actually getting action out of it, but is living it in the way we work, embedding it in how the organization operates. Not just in evolving the digital experiences that we create, but to really transform the way our business operates. In our case, how do we use data to inform how we build the next shoe or build the next product? So data becomes for us also a transformation. How do we embed that in the culture of how we live, breathe, and operate? With that, I'd like to close. I hope I gave you some insight into what we're doing in digital and the experiences we create. I wish you a great rest of the day. Thank you.